to act. Your mind, it is like a gun. And you want to load it up with little itty bitty bullets of knowledge.
What's poppin'? It's your guy Boro, the Lucky Libra. Thank you for tuning in to another one. As you can see by the title, we about to get into a Synastry breakdown between Monique and her husband, Sydney Hicks. I found this to be a very unique and interesting situation with me catching a clip of Monique talking about her open relationship. This is something I was very unaware about, but curiosity of the situation led me to want to see what type of energies came together to manifest this open relationship. So I have some clips that we're going to review, and if you're interested and resonate with these type of breakdowns, make sure to go check out my Patreon service, because this is where I dive deeper with more exclusive content, especially Synastry breakdowns just like these. Alright, so let's get right into it. Alright, so here we're gonna alright, this is a no judge zone. This is for educational purposes. Ultimately, at the end of this video, we want to be able to see how their energies, Monique and her husband, how their energies come together to manifest a situation where it could play out in an open relationship. Now, by certain alignments that they already have, I already know that they were connected in previous lifetimes. This is not their first time these spirits came together. I'm going to point some of these things out, but I want to play these two clips. This first clip is going to be Monique being interviewed by Jason Lee Peterson. This is the original clip that brought me to this situation and got me curious to want to analyze their energies. The second clip is Monique being interviewed with her husband. I thought that was essential to have in this breakdown, to have two representations that I'm breaking down what an open relationship is to them, but also seeing it with them explaining it together. Now, something you want to keep in mind is that Monique is a Sagittarius. Her husband, his name is Sydney Hicks. He's a Libra. All right. So something you want to keep in mind. And let's get right into it.
Yes. I got to ask you this, Monique, because of time. It's going by so fast and I can talk to you forever.
Yes, you know I can talk my ass off, baby. You know I'm a talker.
That's right.
I love y'all Sagittarius. Upbeat, optimistic aura, man. Look at that grin. Look at that cheek going from here to here, man. Y'all Saggies, man. Y'all light somebody up.
I gotta ask, because I'm not clear on this, and I watched the video trying to get it right. Okay. When you say you and your husband are in a relationship, yes. What it's called, shared relationship or something like that.
Sip tea, Monique.
No, open
relationship, right? Yes. Are you saying you have sex with other men and he has sex with other women?
Let me explain it. Okay. When we first got together, Jesse, I married my best friend.
Right.
I married my partner.
Okay.
I married the man that I called up when I was cheating on my other husbands.
Very key things to understand moving on to the breakdown.
Hey, don't judge me. Don't judge me. Because it was he's been my best friend since I was 14 years old.
Right.
So when we first got married, I wasn't marrying my husband. I was marrying my best friend. I was marrying my partner. And
another key thing to keep in mind, they've been together since, they've known each other since they were 14 years old. Their birthdays are only 3 months apart. So these are more indications that they came here from probably some of the same soul body, but were definitely spiritually connected from previous lifetimes.
We wasn't in love. What I was marrying was protection. And I needed somebody I could trust. And I needed somebody that I knew that loved me for real. So when we first got together, I said, listen, because in my mind at the time, I'm the boss.
Yeah.
My ego this big, baby.
Yeah.
I'm Nikki Parker. All over the world, Jesse. Okay.
Amazing.
Okay. When we first got together, because it was my best friend, I didn't know how to lie to him.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to play him. So I said, listen, check this.
Gotta listen to what people say when they talking. I didn't know how to lie to him. I didn't know how to play him. Very interesting.
So there's still a cat that I want to keep seeing. I enjoy his company. It ain't nothing serious, but you know, from time to time, I like to see him. It was like, yo, you're my best friend. That's not going to stop us from loving each other.
Yeah.
But I want you to understand something. You know, if you can see other dudes, I can see other women. I said, no, that's not the plan. I'm famous and not you. That comes from being famous. Now, that's initially how it started.
So she said this is initially how their open relationship started, with her having to be able to scratch her itch, you know, when she wants to, because she's a celebrity and should have that access, but he can't have that access or have the same privileges in this open relationship. So this is what I just took from that as the lucky Libra. Once again, this is for educational and astrological purposes, but the lucky Libra I'm going to give it how it is when I see it. And that's what I'm picking up from the interpretation. So this is why I wanted to dive deeper from this after seeing that clip. And I was also curious to see if there was going to be a point where she's going to convert to saying that he does have the same access and privileges.
That's initially how I started, that we could be with other people if we so, that wasn't our deal breaker, if we so choose.
Right.
Once time went on and we fell in love and we became like, wow, we married to each other. This is beautiful. Now, let me be clear. It's still not a deal breaker, but it's not something that
on whose end
I want to even think about, because that man got me so wide open, Jesse. Like, we both so sprung on each other, baby. Our children be like, damn, y'all going on a date again? Yes, again. Don't knock on the door. Okay. Okay. So, you know.
So if I hear you right, you're saying now that you guys are married, you don't do that anymore when you're sleeping with other people?
No, but we're still in an open relationship. And what it means now is we're so open to each other. Neither one of us will leave this earth without knowing each other fully. We're so open.
Now, me as the lucky Libra, when I want to hear the interpretation for open relationship, besides the qualities that a relationship needs to have a healthy foundation in the first place, openness, transparency, honesty, which are the very things that can bring vulnerability, some more for others in a relationship. But when I see that, when I hear her say that, these are things that these are qualities you need to have in your relationship, period. So it's like, what besides connecting to others on a physical level outside of your relationship adds to this open relationship besides that factor? So it's nothing wrong with that. Like, everybody, listen, it's a lucky Libra, man. I understand relationships to the point that I understand everybody has different relationships that correlate to them. At the same time, some people need to be wiser about their desires and what it is they feel like they need to feel fulfilled in a relationship. That's a whole nother story. But when we talk about relationship qualities, I mean, I understand that everybody resonates with different relationships. And this video is not also to say that what they're doing is negative, wrong, or anything, but I am analyzing it to see how it manifested. What are some energies that are rooted under this relationship that may have built a foundation to make this the reality of what their relationship is? And that's what we're going to see when I get more so to that placements in their synastry that align. But y'all feel what I'm trying to say? Like, what other qualities? But Monique is making it seem like the openness to the relationship is way more than just the open sex. And once again, that is not a issue. If that's your thing, that's your thing. But my thing is, don't make it seem like it's some whole other thing aspect to what the open relationship is, but then the qualities you name is just qualities all relationships should have, all right, to make it have a healthy, fruitful foundation in the first place. If you're not building a relationship upon some form of honesty and openness and transparency, then that's already not going to be the strongest foundation, because some of these things could come to haunt you as you continue to lay more bricks upon what you're trying to build. So just something I pointed out.
To our feelings and emotions and our thoughts.
But if you do that, do you let each other know, or you just go out there and do it and come back home?
It ain't no secret. Like, that's my best friend.
So would you say to him, honey, I went out and I got screwed tonight?
No, because you're not going to ever disrespect your king, and your king is not going to ever disrespect the
So you don't tell him?
No, it's not a not telling. It's something, we haven't done that in over 10 years.
Amazing.
11 years. But it's something that
So
blows people's mind even still, because, again, being Christian, it got us caught up in.
All right, family. So that's the portion of this interview that I wanted to utilize for this breakdown. Let's get into this second interview with both Monique and her husband being interviewed about this open relationship.
We're here with the very funny and immensely talented Monique. All right, that's right. And joining us now is her husband, Sydney Hicks.
Big Sid! Big Sid!
Well, here's a subject that I thought my fellow preachers would find very interesting. The two of you have a podcast called Monique and Sydney's Open Relationship. Yes. Is it true you all actually have an open relationship? And what does that mean? Is it open 24 hours? Is it, what's going on? What does it mean to be in an open relationship? And I know this was your idea, Sydney.
Damn, just try to throw mad pressure on them. I know this was your idea. How you know that? Like, how you know that? You see how you see how these interviews do, man? The interviews think you ain't slick, man. You ain't slick.
Well, yes, we are in an open relationship 24/8. Okay. And by that, we mean that we're always open to conversation. We're open to the understandings that man and woman, or as a couple, we should have for one another. Thank you.
Yeah, I should already know what I'm about to say. Once again, the same qualities that should be builded upon in any relationship, but I digress.
You automatically said, Sydney,
this was his idea.
And I think that.
See, Monique ain't gonna let that one slide. She a Sag, man. Sages, they up here with it. Even if they don't look like they got it together, is a method to their madness, all right? And that fire gonna have to express. So he thought Monique was gonna let that one slide. She was waiting to address the fact that he said that the whole time Sydney Hicks was explaining what an open relationship is. I could tell.
That's when we first came out with it, everybody said, "Oh my God, how could Monique let that man do that to her?"
Whose idea was it?
Well, because she's this big woman and he's this good looking man, and because she has this money, she's gonna let that man do whatever he want to do just to say she has a fine man.
So y'all talking about, because you talk about emotion and conversation, but that's not what y'all talking about. Sex right now.
Here's what makes it beautiful, John. Okay, shake your head.
This interview aggressive. Like, I don't want to hear that bullshit y'all giving everybody else on their radio station and their TV, on their platforms. Nah, come on. Get to the meats and potatoes of it.
One more time. Here.
Whose idea was it? Was it your idea?
It was my idea. Because 10 years ago, 11 years ago, I'm an entertainer.
What was all that?
And this is my best friend ever. And what I did not want to do is be dishonest with my best friend. There may be times I may want to be with other men.
Okay.
And my best friend said to me, "Mama, I've loved you since the 10th grade. Do you think you being with another man is going to have anything to do with me loving you?" And then he said, "Well, if you can be with other men, I can be with other women." I said, "Well, that's not what I meant now. That's not what I meant." But
I'm waiting to see when he has the same privileges and access you have. Okay, I'm waiting.
it was my idea because I wanted to be open and honest with the person that I was going to spend the rest of my life with.
I think that's amazing. And a lot of people think that that's novel, and y'all church people are going to have a heart attack. Monique is from Baltimore with me. So I believed in open marriage. I just forgot to tell my ex-wife about it. So it didn't go well. But I think the key is,
had you had that conversation?
The key is that conversation. But the biblical part I've got to ask is not as entertainers, but as believers, how do you find that balance that we say that the bedroom is sacred for the two of you?
Who am I to tell her what she can and cannot do? And if I did tell her what she could and could not do, is there a possibility that she could still do it anyway?
Wow.
It was only 2.5 seconds after I paused it, after he said what he said, and I heard some women giggling after that. So what we could already pick up here, he Sagittarius with their free-spirited nature, we see that he's playing as a support system for that. We can easily interpret here that he's letting Monique flap her wings. And there hasn't been questions asked to him personally about him doing him. And Monique has stated once again, the second time in the video, you know, saying that this is really her being open for the most part. So this is very key things to keep in mind.
Okay. And then that's called cheating. And then that's called what you guys consider a sin.
Okay, so here's the thing. I know for my house that if I tried an open relationship, there would be a 100% divorce rate in my house.
And I think you should ask your wife since she's in the audience, because oftentimes we don't ever even have the conversations because we're too afraid of what might come back. So we might want to check with the wife, because what happens is, John, is two things: finances and infidelity. Finances and infidelity will shut it down every time, but we're too afraid to say, let me tell you how I'm really feeling. And then you're going to tell me how you're really feeling. And then we're going to say we're in it forever.
And when you have a gentleman like yourself that just was able to make a joke out of what you did, that's the ingredients to make this a successful show, because now you're a human being.
Yeah.
You're not a pastor. You're not a preacher. You're a human being who has that word of God that you try to inspire people with. But again, the humanity of it. So kudos to you guys.
Well, thank you. Listen, we could stay here all day.
All righty, y'all. So we had a chance to check out their interpretations of their open relationships. We had a representation of Monique explaining these things on her own, a representation of them explaining what an open relationship means to them together. And we all have our own thoughts and feelings of what exactly is going on. So right now, we have to keep in mind, when we look at synastry energies, astrology ain't dealing with fate. Astrology ain't, we ain't reading palms over here. We're seeing the potential of how two energies come together to work with each other. We're seeing what could be manifested. We've seen the alchemy of what's produced when two energies align. So with these two energies come together, there's going to be potential for a bunch of things to play out. And depending on these alignments and certain placements, going to help us to understand that. Now, I don't have Monique's and Sydney's birth time. However, I know for a fact that Monique is an Aries moon. Don't know whether Sydney's a Leo or Virgo moon. The moon moved on the day he was born. And based off what I'm seeing, I feel like he could be leaning on the cusp, but I could pick up more on some Virgo moon energies. However, I have some placements that I wrote down, made note of as soon as I, got some of these clips, digested some of this information for myself, and a couple of things just screamed out at me as soon as I pulled their charts up. So let's get right into it. Now, first off, this relationship with their sun. Sydney's a Libra sun. Monique is a Sagittarius sun. This is a sextile. This plays out a lot of friendship energy. Sextile is going to have that natural relatability. Fire needs air to travel. So when it comes to the creativity of a fire sign, an air sign usually has a form of relatability or points of views where the fire sign can more start looking at their creativity or what they want to express to the world in a more relatable way. Now, And with, when we look at the degrees of their sons, Sydney is a 6th degree Libra. That when we talk about 6th degree, this is falling into the early decan of Libra, the 0 through 10 degrees of Libra, which is more of the early emphasized Venetian Libra, okay? Embracing more connectivity with others, embracing valuing others' outputs and how they their perspective of things. We have that, whenever we talk about Venus, we know Venus dealing with appreciating and supporting. So Libras that have their sun anywhere in them early degrees, 0 through 10, these are your real social butterflies. And we know Venus energy can manifest into passiveness because the natural frequency vibration of it is to relate, is to balance, is to compromise, is to support. Now, Monique is a 18, make sure she's at 18 degree Sagittarius. This is more of the Aries influence, Mars influence Sagittarius. So these Sagittarius from 10 to 20 degrees, if your sun falls there, you're going to play out more aggressive attributes when it comes to expressing your knowledge and wisdom, when it comes to dealing with vulnerability of having your knowledge and wisdom being underestimated, being looked down upon, like you don't know nothing, okay? Like your experiences ain't got no weight. These Sagittarius really don't play that. And we know Mars off rip, Libra debilitated with this energy. So the fact that I know the sextile is going to create a relatable, harmonious energy for the ways that they perceive the world, the ways that they view things, the sun, their awareness is going to complement each other. The knowledge and wisdom and what the perspectives about life, Monique's spiritual philosophies and how she views things as a Sagittarius sun, he naturally looks at these things and is able to have it take her perspectives, put it in a logical point of view as a Libra, and find things to complement and relate and align himself with it. This is how this sextile plays out. This is why Libras and Sagittarius can play out a lot of friendship energy. So off rip in my head, I'm thinking, okay, it was important to get down to the degree influence, because knowing that Monique is a little more aggressive with her intent and how she feels about living her life as a Sagittarius. We know Sagittarius is a free-spirited energy. So how Monique feels about living her life with that Mars influence there, with that degree, she's way more passionate about not having to compromise that these beliefs for other people. Sagittarius is dealing with his belief, is dealing with its faith, is dealing with his wisdom. We have Jupiter influence here. So him being having that extra Venetian influence as an early degree Libra could show that he could play out potentials where he could be a little bit more passive to play a relatable role from the things that she's experienced in her life to even develop the beliefs that she has. So that alone right here could show where he could play more of a support system with her ideals about life and how she wants to live her life personally and her relationships. And with this alignment could show that he's trying to play a harmonious, role within being able to relate to her and share that awareness with her in some type of shape or form. And I'm pretty sure with this type of alignment, things that Monique has experienced, because she was molested and they've known each other since they were 14 years old. Like he said, he was in love with her since 10th grade or whatnot. And it's funny how they said that in the second interview, but the first interview, Monique is saying they wasn't in love. So this is where we get this is why we got to get down to the energies. The energies is going to tell you everything. So it's like, when I see that, I'm like, okay, they have a number of shared experiences in this lifetime. When you're connected with somebody spiritually like that, as soon as you guys connect in a new experience, you're gonna jump into a number of experiences, because it's already a built up energy. It's an energy that y'all brought here anyways. So it came with some momentum. So this is why a lot of these twin flame or soulmate like relationships, it could feel soulmates a little different. Twin flames and soulmates are a little different, because these are energies that can be established in a new lifetime. But when we're talking about, soul ties, which I believe, I ain't gonna say is a soul tie, but I know they were spiritually connected. So some form of a karmic relationship here, which we're going to talk a little bit more when we talk about the South Node energies. But I could just see the extra relatability when it comes to how they played a role in each other's life, with her being able to find some comfort with the way he's been able to help support and appreciate the way that she looks at life as a Sagittarius. And so yeah, that was very key there. Now let's move on to this sun trine. Sydney's sun in Libra is trining Monique's Mars in Aquarius. The way he views things as a Libra, sun, view, see, awareness, the way he views things as a Libra complements and creates opportunities for how Monique connects to her true desires and motives. So this is a very important alignment, because wherever your Mars is at is going to show you somebody's true intentions. You don't really know somebody like that. If you see some of them, their Mars energy, some of their 8th house energies, it's going to tell you a little bit about why they may not be as expressive as you may want them to be, and some of the things that their motives are built around. It may not tell you everything about what they're going to do and act. It's not in that type of level, but it's going to show you give you a picture of how they may deal with their deep emotions, things that they're passionate about. Mars governs your self-intentions. People don't know your intentions until you act on things. So with Mars in Aquarius, this is a very individual placement. Mars in Aquarius people have a passion to connect what they have going on individually in the outside world, in the public arena. Aquarius rules the unknown and unfamiliar. It has an emphasis on social media and technology, but it's also how we connect to strangers, people we don't know. So this is why it's going to govern all different types of forms of communication. So when you put Mars in there, it's going to be somebody that has a lot of self-intent in making sure they establish a relationship with them and the external realm. We don't want to compromise where our Mars energy is at. Mars don't do the compromising. So with Monique having that personal intention, he has a sun in Libra. This creates a trine where the way he views things and her passions are relating with the same element in air. So she's a little bit more logical with the things with her that she's passionate about. When Monique has something that she's passionate about expressing to the world, planting an intention in, she's gonna most likely have influences to look at how she can utilize relationships, certain associations, resources from relationships or associations she may be a part of, or she can, that she knows or whatnot, and how that could support her passions. This is the energy Mars is gonna bring when it's in Aquarius. Sydney's sun is in Libra. So whatever energies Monique got in any air placements, he's gonna be able to understand it, because he's a Libra sun. So his awareness in his lifetime is relationships. With the sun and air, you're gonna be able to see how other people deal with relationships in their life. It's altered a bit depending on when we look at modalities and sun and planetary alignments, because every sign is different, even if they are air signs. But his sun being in Libra, he's able to understand Monique's intent to want to connect with the external realm. So this could add on more to her even having that free spirited energy and not wanting to compromise none of that. But I could see with his sun in Libra how he's able to look at that and start to find ways to compromise, find ways to value that, find ways to appreciate that, find ways to even play roles for her to do it more. All right. So this could also show that she can take advantage. Mars don't compromise. Mars goes right through. So with Mars being in Aquarius, Aquarius also represents the abstract thinker. So Mars here, her strategies to even do what she wants, these things could even get executed without her actually confronting things in relationships. Because Mars in Aquarius is going to represent some individuality, but definitely an individual with the way they think. And Aquarius is going to have a sense of detachedness here. This whole placement can bring some detachedness, even though it's in air, because it's very strategic on how it utilizes relationships to connect to what it's passionate about, its goals, its motivations, its true deep desires. So, you know, this alignment really shows that they can create opportunities for each other to be supported with how they deal with relationships in their life, but this can lean on the energy of you know, Sydney getting bullied a little bit. I don't want to say bully, but Mars is a bully. Mars is a bully. Okay, so just because it's a trine and it's creating opportunities and it's positive, it's a gift, and you have the ability to work together and do this and that, and the third year it can create opportunities for Mars to kind of find ways to compromise or to utilize his alignment with the sun for his intentions. So if Mars personal alignment already is to connect to the external realm, utilize relationships and forms of communication to build its passions and its goals and its true desires and motives, the energy is getting from Sydney's sun is just building an awareness for the way that the Mars is looking at Sydney's sun like, oh, okay, your son should understand how relationships work. Your son should understand that I have a passion and intention to connect. The world deals with relationships. So you already taking action with one-on-one relationships in your life. So you should be able to perceive my passion with how I want to connect. This is the energy it'll play out. So this is why this was a very important placement. I like, oh yeah, Sun trine Mars in Aquarius, boom. His sun conjuncts her Uranus. Uranus represents, Uranus gonna bring power and control issues because the influence of Uranus is trying to push out its individuality wherever it's at. It's trying to make itself unique, and let that be expressed among the collective. So when planets align with Uranus, that influence of individuality is gonna be there, but that creates transformation. So wherever Uranus is at, it's a very erratic energy. It's trying to gain power. Now, the fact that his son is, they're part of the same generation. They have the same generational alignments because they were born 3 months apart. So they're going to share similar north node, south node axis energies. They're going to share generational planets, Pluto, Neptune, Uranus placements. They're a couple of degrees away just because they were born 3 months away. But for the most part, his son is conjunct his own Uranus. So he's already dealing with impulsive ways of thinking about things at times. All right. With his sun in Libra, the way he expresses himself at times, he can be impulsive, trying to communicate his individual way of how he values something. So just like how in the interview, when he was expressing, who am I? Who am I to, he said that shit with some motherfucking pepper and stuff. Who am I to tell a woman what she could do? Boom, 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 boom. First of all, that's your wife. And there should be some respect regardless of what anybody wants to do. Control your goddamn desires. You are in a relationship. This is a partnership. I can't just, so that respect factor is something I'm seeing is that being emphasized and reinforced in this relationship on both ends. So his son being conjunct, this is something he already dealing with personally. So this is why I said the way he said that he can be impulsive with how he's pushing out his Libra energy. The Uranus by the sun in Libra is trying to utilize whatever the sun energy in Libra could push out, which is communication, ideas, forms of relating to others. This is what the Uranus in his life is trying to utilize it to be seen as an individual, but it could be aggressive and impulsive doing these things. And it could be over relatable. So where his sun conjunct her Uranus, this is more of an influence that he may play energies out where he's dealing with power and control issues, trying to have his individual thoughts, individual ways of communicating to her be seen. And this could also show that, you know, they may have dealt with a bunch of power and control issues, even though they see pushing out their individuality the same way, because they both have Uranus in Virgo. His sun being conjunct to her, she has a real transformative influence on how he perceives things with relationships. when we look at synastry and somebody's Uranus is aligning with whatever, if I'm doing synastry with myself and somebody else, when I look at my Uranus placement and I see what planets this person's planets is aligning with my Uranus, I know that I have the influence to be transformative to whatever energies my Uranus is aligning at, because this is where I push out my individuality. So we can't see the house alignments because we don't have their times. However, there's been times where he's been trying to, he would try to express his individual ways of seeing things or his thoughts, the sun, and her individuality might have overcompensated. Well, not overcompensated, but was way more bold than what he was trying to get across the table. So it could play out a lot of them influences. Uranus is just going to transform something and trying to gain power there. So it could show that she could even be a little possessive over his actions. That's another thing. That should have been one of the first things I said. It's going to be some little possessiveness over his actions with his sun being conjunct Uranus. So that was another key placement. Venus conjunct Jupiter. Sydney's Venus conjuncts her Jupiter. Now, when we look at Venus in synastry, if she's aligning with planets, if she's next to somebody else's planet, she gonna bring some appreciation. She gonna bring some support and love. She gonna find roles to complement and relate to what that energy is. Jupiter is Monique's faith and belief. This is the ruling sign of her sun sign. So the fact that we've seen what Monique's beliefs and philosophies are with her Jupiter and Virgo. We've seen the beliefs that she believes she wants to, because Virgo's dealing with order, structure, service, putting things in alignment in a practical way, routine, scheduling. So with her Jupiter, she's gained a lot of wisdom on how she wants to have some form of structure in her life through how she's working on things and how she should work on things. So we've seen these things, how her philosophies about how she wants to work on a relationship and live her life and experience, period, with Jupiter. Jupiter is also dealing with experiencing. So having that alignment with Venus conjunct, his Venus is valuing and appreciating everything that her faith about things, her beliefs about things. This is more of we said with their sun relationship, he's already trying to find ways to relate to her creative expression, her forms of expression, her beliefs and faith as a Sagittarius sun being ruled by Jupiter. But with the Venus, with his home ruling sign, his sun ruling sign and her sun ruling sign being conjunct, this is emphasizing more that he's playing a support system to things through the beliefs and concepts that she's developed through life, through what she's experienced. So positive and negative, the things that I'm pretty sure during that when she was in that first relationship, Sydney was on the phone more than usual. She was dumping a lot of emotional weight out on him. She was giving a whole lot about what she's been learning and her experiences and her day-to-day to Sydney, because his Venus is there. She knows he's gonna play a support system. She knows, and Venus deal with feeling too, so she could pick up on a subconscious feel that when she gives that energy off, Sydney's gonna be there, play as a cushion to make sure he finds ways to align with that. So it's like, okay, the open relationship season is here with these alignments. Is here now. Mars conjunct the sun. They both have, Sydney got the Mars in Sagittarius. Monique has the sun in Sagittarius in their conjunct, and I call this passionate and motivated to experience together. With Monique's sun in Sagittarius, we know that's the thrill Sagittarius live for, to experience, to learn through their experiences, to adventure, okay? To create circumstances, environments where these things are supported. His Mars is there. So he sets a lot of intentions in being able to create opportunities to learn, to deal with his forms of creative expression, both of them dealing with creative expression. So they both have actions that's being influence towards Sagittarius energy. Mars is more so the intentions, but intentions manifest towards some sort of action. So with this alignment, regardless of the sign, when Mars and the sun get together, they like this. The sun is your actions, Mars is your intention. So this is they're gonna be motivating each other with this alignment. The Mars person gets real inspired by the sun person because the Mars person is already setting intentions and got goals and is passionate about achieving things with that Sagittarius energy, learning certain things, experiencing certain things. Mars and Sagittarius people be having a bucket list of things, places they want to travel. Probably things they want to check off the to-do list when it comes to learning certain things in this lifetime. So he's already goal-oriented when it comes to Sagittarius-like energy. It's also creative expression. They both dealing with forms of creative expression. He's a producer, actor, and you know, they work together, which we're gonna get to. But this is what he's goal-oriented about. She's a natural walking son of that energy. This is her natural energy. This is what she's naturally taking action on. This is what she's naturally paying attention to. Learning, looking at things from a bigger, broader perspective, expanding on her life perspective, dealing with creative expression, faith, belief, energy. So that's inspiring. The sun is inspiring the first son, Mars. Mars is the first son of the sun. But the sun person is inspiring the Mars person in this alignment, and the Mars person continues to motivate the energy that the sun person is already in. Now, this is the thing. Fire signs love the gas. Fire signs love the gas. So when you put Mars, which is the fuel, to Monique's sun in Sagittarius, this motivation Sydney can be giving Monique for how she wants to be free-spirited and express herself. This could be the same gas that makes her not want to place no boundaries in how that expression affects their relationship. Because in some type of shape or form, the way he feels, because Mars is also dealing with feelings, the way he feels about experiencing period, he correlates to that in some type of shape or form. But because it's conjunct, it could show that he could, you know, keep adding fuel to that sun, shedding that intention and letting it continue to be inspired by the sun person, but continue to be motivated, playing as a motivating factor as well. So I could just see this as, you know, Monique's head, like she said, her head was big. I miss Nikki Parker. Okay. Like, y'all remember all that? Okay. So for the most part, she's admitting that. But his Mars being conjunct her sun, I don't think that helps anything. I don't think that helps anything at all. This is a powerful placement for two couples to come together and, you know, motivate each other to share some of these same goals, or regardless when they are, because it's conjunct, so it's in the same energy. When they are dealing with that energy, but in separate projects, concepts, or different areas of their own personal life, they can still inspire each other. So yeah, those are like the two spectrums that could play out with that placement. So that was very that was key. Now the North Node and South Node are conjunct. Okay, they were born 3 months apart. When we look at the South Node clings to your past life energies, the vibration you've been correlating to and clinging on to for the previous past lives. And you're here to utilize that to balance you with your spiritual path and what you're here to do with this lifetime, which is your North Node energy for the most part. The energy you have to embrace that can make you feel very, very vulnerable. So when I see that their South Nodes is conjunct, I'm like, okay, boom, North Node, South Node conjunct, they're sharing more of the same spiritual path. They're sharing the same spiritual path. So I named this placement spiritual help or spiritual crutch. The reason I named this, because this placement could play out 2 ways. Now, Monique is the inside wheel. Her North Node is 26 degrees Aries. That means her South Node, which your South Node and North Node always going to be opposite. Her South Node is 26 degrees Libra. The 26 degree Libra energy is what she's comfortable with, what she brought here. Now, Sydney's North Node is 28 degrees Libra. So it's on the cusp. So his North Node is dealing with Aries and Taurus energy. So that means his South Node is 28 degrees Libra Scorpio. That's the same degree as my son. Shout out to Libra Scorpio gang. Y'all already know what it is. Libra Scorpio, air, water, cuss gang, hand. But anyways, with his South Node being on that cusp, it's still conjunct, but they're dealing with similar spiritual paths here. So they could either help each other to evolve having some of the same spiritual influences to grow from, or they could be helping each other to be comfortable with the energy. Now, boom, this is where it gets a little deeper. The South Nodes is in Libra. The South Nodes is picking up Libra energy. Now, he got that Libra Scorpio South Node, but with the South Node in Libra, what you brought here is the influence of having to build and connect with other people, having to do things with another party, having to correlate to another party, having to have somebody critique what you got going on before you express yourself, putting the other parties before your personal priorities. So with the North Node in Aries, this is here to influence that, to cultivate personal individuality here, some personal assertiveness with your personal priorities. You need to learn to make sure your personal priorities are taken care of personally and not correlated to other people before you make personal decisions on them, and creating that balance between your personal issues and your relationship life. This type of axis can make somebody relationship be their life instead of relationship being a strong foundation to their life. For the most part, you can get consumed in your relationships for the most part. So knowing that their spiritual path has to deal with individuality, especially Sydney's North Node, him having to be more practical about where he's personally assertive at, because it's picking up Taurus energy with his North Node there. That shows me they could be playing out as a crutch with them being both comfortable catering to what's not helping them to evolve with relationships and be what's true and be true to themselves within relationships. And that could be AKA Sydney knowing in some type of shape or form this isn't a balanced relationship, but it's catering to any type of insecurity he may have dealing with relationships in some type of shape or form, and his desires in relationships, because it has some Scorpio energy here. And in the other spectrum of the Libra South Node, Monique could be playing out in some type of shape or form, taking advantage of knowing that certain feelings and thoughts is being expressed. So that energy is here. So that could play out as a container for how I want to deal with relationships, even though I know it may not be balanced. So that could be her playing out as a crutch, and they could be each other's crutch, not helping each other to grow. It could be spiritual help if they're both being true to how they personally feel, they're comfortable in their own skin about what they're doing and where they're at in life, and having the family that they have. Shout out to them. They got 2 sons, 2 twin sons. I believe they're 13 years old, but I don't know the date of that video that I seen them say that they were 13 at the moment. However, they could really just be personally living in their true individuality, and it took experiences for them in relationships to get here, and they're helping each other to step into these shoes. So here, this is why it's spiritual help or spiritual crutch. Only they truly know that one. Now, his Venus is partially debilitated on the Leo Virgo cusp. So if we check out his Venus over here, it's 29 degrees in her in Leo over here. Okay, 29 degrees in Leo. 29 is a cusp energy. Check out my video on degrees and cusp if you don't truly understand cusp. However, when a planet falls in 28, 29, 0, 1 or 2 degrees, it's landing on a cusp. So it's picking up on not only this Leo energy, it's at the end stages of Leo, but it's utilizing the 1 and 2 degrees of Virgo to help support the end stage of it being in Leo. So with Venus in Leo, it's going to value creative expression, how it's seen. Okay, it's going to have a lot of self-esteem and want to direct a lot of support and appreciation towards anything that is creatively into any form of ways of expressing itself. Okay, if y'all check out my Venus through the signs video, I was saying Venus and Leos, natural entertainers, natural creators, and he's a producer, actor, naturally into the entertainment field. And his Venus is his son. I was about to bring up another line, but okay, that don't matter. So anyways, yeah, this is what his Venus values being in Leo, but it's in the cusp. So when it's on that cusp, it has that earth element added with that fire element that deals with creativity, being awareness, how you seeing and feel about things, how you see and feel about things. So when the Virgo energy comes here, Venus Venus is uncomfortable in Virgo because it has to value work, day-to-day routine, building, and structure. Venus, the details of things. Venus don't want to value all that. I want to deal with his pleasures. So certain places got to connect to more of his pleasures better. But Venus is gonna bring a work ethic here. Venus is gonna bring somebody that, you know, they see a lot of value in how they're working on things, what they're building and structuring on their own. So him having this energy on the cusp, he truly has a lot of value for how he's working on his creative attributes. He may have had a lot of moments in his life where he's been real critical of his own expression, because that Venus energy is going to debilitate Venus with her overthinking how she loves and how she values things, overthinking her role that she plays in her relationships, being overcritical about how she loves and connects her feelings and expresses that to others. So he has, with it being on the cusp, he can be in a way overcritical of his own expression, and this could create insecurities of how you express and connect your feelings to others, or how you feel like you seem to others. All right. So here, I feel like I hope situations that may have manifested from some debilitation, partially debilitated on this cusp, hasn't, you know, fell into the relationship where maybe there's not a sense of confidence that he has in the relationship to feel like it should be more balanced. And that may have been the energy Monique has been able to take advantage of. And it could easily, that could easily be an energy that's manifested with this type of placement. All right. Now, they're grown in life. We all learn. So for the most part, he's been through situations where he's probably had to learn not to be too critical of how he expresses himself, to learn to let things flow a little bit more when his feelings are invested into things. So he may have took that approach in this relationship. Okay. And that has helped him to deal with things he's experienced in his past relationships, to make him feel like he's not overthinking things. And like, all right, Monique, like, this is what we're going to do. Open, boom, 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 boom. So that was very key to point out. And moving on, Mars sextile Saturn, okay? A passion to build together. So she got Mars in Aquarius. We already broke down that energy. Monique being real passionate with how she connects her goals, the things that she's motivated to do in this lifetime with the external realm, and how she utilizes different relationships and different forms of communication to do so. And she naturally has her Mars sextile and her Saturn because they have the same Saturn placement. It's only what? Her Saturn is 5 degrees, his Saturn 9 degrees. So they're only 4 degrees apart. So yeah, her Mars is sextile and her Saturn. So this is why Monique, she get busy when it's time for her to, you know, work on what she's passionate about. Mars and Saturn alignment, aligning personally, Synastry is going to bring motivation, is going to bring some passion to some form of structure, to some form of reality, to some form of this. So when we talk about Mars sextiling his Saturn, the way Saturn's also how you see reality, the way they see reality, but in this Synastry case, the way he sees reality, the way he sees building structure in his lifetime, she can play out situations to play out as resources, being able to provide different ways for him to connect to the external realm based off of her already being goal-oriented in that area, and it supports opportunities for them to build together, to do business together. So they got a podcast together, and what's her name? They've done work together. I've tried to look up his bio when I was looking up his bio when I was looking for his birth date. Not too much information on him, but they say he's a producer and an actor, and he's done production work for a lot of I ain't gonna say a lot, but for some of Monique's content, especially something called the Monique Show. So that this alignment could show that it easily aligned, seeing how they could complement each other to do business, to build some sense of structure and reality. And another reason why this placement was important to me, because she stated that when we first got together, even though they've known each other for a minute, not just in this lifetime, not just at 14 years old, but they've known each other esoterically for a little minute. And what's her name? With this type of alignment, it may have played out real easy for them to see ways to complement doing business with each other. Okay. And Monique may have been a real motivating factor for them to establish that. Oh yeah, this is the point I was making. Make sure I'm happy I grabbed that back. But I was gonna say, Monique pointed out earlier how when they did get married or whatnot, when they got together, that it was based off somebody. She was like, I don't want to have to go back and play it, but she was saying it wasn't based off of them being in love. Okay, more so probably being more so based off somebody I could trust, depend on, boom, 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 a partner, a best friend. This is what she was saying, quoted. So this shows that there's a sense of reality they both could look at within their relationship despite the feelings. And Monique could play a motivating factor for them to build more on that reality that they see, more on a structured in his personal life as well. So this could be like a power business couple type of alignment, Mars sextile Saturn. But the Mars person plays out a lot of the Mars person's passions end up helping creating opportunities for how the Saturn person sees reality. So let's say the Mars person is a say the Mars person is a politician, and the Saturn person, the reality they trying to build and structure in this lifetime is trying to, be a rapper in some type of shape or form. This Mars person's passions within their career field, maybe their passions aligning with their intentions and goals with how they want, what they do with politics to affect their personal life, or the change that they want on the world, or whatever when it comes to their passions within politics. In some type of shape or form, this person might find ways of their resources and their relationships, or how they know somebody within politics that has a friend that does music or does this and that, and utilize that relationship, that resource to support something that you trying to build and structure. But it correlated to something I'm passionate about, even though it wasn't really something we were both into. So it could play out with them type of ways, but especially with them just coming together and easily seeing how they could utilize, which their Saturn is in Aries. So they both see reality dealing with their creativity. They both see reality based off of their vision and what they could cultivate out of that raw sight. So with her Mars there, that just motivates more on how he has built on these things and the resources he also has gained from his experiences trying to cultivate structure and a foundation in his life through his creative expression with Saturn and Aries. So that was very key. And last but not least was an important placement that stood out to me was Monique's sun squaring Monique's sun squaring his Pluto and Uranus. And I called this feeling vulnerable to transform. Uranus and Pluto both deal with heavy transformation. Uranus more so dealing with transformation because it's trying to gain power through how it's expressing its individuality in the world. Pluto's going through transformation because Pluto sees everything with an expiration date on it. And it's here to help us learn that things have expiration dates on it, and we have to learn to evolve when it comes to our desires and set more long-term intentions. So with her sun here, she has a hard time. Squares is something that you have to learn. So her sun, how she sees things, has to learn how to see his individuality. But she could feel vulnerability that her actions have to be transformed, aligning and being more understanding of how he sees things should be individually, or his individual approach to things in a relationship, his individual long-term approach to certain goals and desires he has in this relationship. So it could show some vulnerability, and Monique feel like she has to deal with a lot of power and control issues, giving up some freedom or having to compromise how she wants to experience with the sun in Sagittarius, with the ways that they both see put structure in their life, with not so much structure, but how they both see pushing out their individuality in this lifetime, and how they go about dealing with transformation in this lifetime, with them having similar Uranus and Pluto placements. And this is the energy Monique is dealing with in her personal life. With her sun squaring Uranus and Pluto, she has to learn to take more action on cultivating her individuality or transforming things, habits, ways of thinking, or expressing herself to bring a more unique part of her perspective to the world. And this is something she had to learn over time, and she still learns with this type of square. but it's a square that's here to get the individuality aligned with the sun. So not only does she deal with that in her own life, dealing with those power and control issues, maybe coming off too rebellious when she expresses her individuality, or not, or had experiences in her life not expressing her individuality. But when it comes to his son, her son squaring them alignments, it shows that she gonna have trouble trying to, transform her actions to cultivate, to align more with his, ways of building structure or working on things in his life, which can correlate down into relationships. All right, so that was the energies, man. Y'all tell me what y'all think. Y'all leave a comment. Y'all leave some requests or maybe some other future breakdowns y'all like to get into. Once again, check out my Patreon, where I'll be getting more into Synastry breakdowns like this. There'll be some breakdowns I have on YouTube, but more deeper analysis on my Patreon. All right, so you want to check that out. But it's the Lucky Libra tuning in and tuning out. Until next time, family. Peace.